Well, thank you, David, and thank you, Anna, for this invitation and to talk about our project in this esteemed forum. So indeed, I'm presenting J-Ark, Jewish, we call it Jewish Community Community Archive for Jewish Heritage Materials. This is a joint project with Europeana and some other partners that I will mention a bit later. So first, a couple of words about JHN, Jewish Heritage Network. We are a nonprofit digital initiative for Jewish cultural heritage content. We are the accredited aggregator for Jewish content of Europeana. Europeana is a European ecosystem of digital cultural projects funded by European Commission through a variety of calls. And as an aggregator, we operate a platform of aggregation platform into Europeana, which aggregates Jewish heritage metadata and digitized collections, and we operate a platform of services for this kind of content. So what is J-Ark? J-Ark, the vision of J-Ark is actually to complement what we are doing with Europeana with a preservation service. So in fact, to complement collecting heritage collections from Jewish heritage organizations such as museums, libraries, and archives with a long-term preservation service. But more than that, we wanted, so Europeana is one, European Commission digital blocks. They were called CEF building blocks. I'm not sure what terminology is used today, but I think you know what you mean. And of course, e-archiving is another building block, but we also wanted to bring another building block, which is e-translation, because when we process content for publishing or for preservation, we need to do certain things for which we need services. So the two services that we chose for this project were machine translation and anonymization, because if we want to preserve archival materials with some private information, we want to have also an anonymized version for different sort of usages where people's privacy should be guarded. So the uniqueness of this project is that we are bringing together these three CEF building blocks funded by European Commission to deliver a long-term preservation platform for Jewish archives. Who is the target audience? And that's important. We consciously decided to designate small and mid-sized heritage organizations as the target audience for this project. Why? Because large museums, large libraries, large archives usually have their long-term preservation facilities, whereas this, as we call them, long tail of heritage, the small community archives, sometimes even family archives or archives of historic collections of historical societies, they are usually not associated with the long-term preservation backbone. And because we're talking so much about inclusivity in the cultural sphere and in other spheres, especially in public funding, it was very important for us to think about these smaller organizations as the primary customer, client, beneficiary of this kind of solutions. So the project lasted for 1.5 years and just finished. It was funded by the Connecting Europe facility under e-archiving scheme, and that was special for us because usually we run on grants from the Europeana scheme under Connecting Europe facility. So this was a very interesting change to look at another CEF category. The partners were JHN, as I mentioned. Then the coordinator together with JHN was the company Pangianic from Spain, a European leader in machine translation and AI tools, and the technical lead of the project. And then the preservation solution was provided to us by our dear partner from Portugal, Keep Solutions, which of course is very known in your audience, and I think they are here in the group. So another opportunity to thank them for their excellent work. Europeana itself to give us the viewpoint of another big ecosystem that we bring into this proposal, and two partners for pilots that I will mention later, basically two organizations with whose collections we experimented to pilot the solution. So what was the idea? The idea was to develop an end-to-end solution which covers, as I said, the different needs of a small and mid-sized heritage collection. So first we share or ingest to provide access on the aggregator and ultimately on a European platform like Europeana to publish there. Europeana facilitates publishing through a variety of APIs. and protocols. And of course, the main point of this project was to also process and to preserve, to process, as I said, to machine translate and anonymize and further preserve content following the e-archive standard of the e-ARK standard of the European Commission. The idea was to provide this service because we are talking about small organizations as a full software as a service solution on cloud, and to make it easy and accessible for them to understand the service, to master it, and also to make it fully accessible to provide the materials in as many languages as possible, European languages. And of course, having the machine translation specialist in the consortium, it was also a very obvious wish. So I will not go deeply into the technical character of the work, but the idea is that we build a flow which takes data separately, metadata, to the aggregator, the JHN aggregator that was already existent for several years. And then we separately take digital objects to RODA. RODA by Keep Solutions was the digital preservation component of the project, which was integrated into this larger flow. We integrated the services that you see on top, those two services which I mentioned, machine translation and anonymization. Into RODA, we also integrated a IIIF service. IIIF, as some of you know, is the increasingly popular image interoperability format for images and other digital assets. So a IIIF server was integrated into RODA. And also, we wanted to integrate into RODA the special support for EDM. EDM stands for Europeana Data Model. Europeana is the semantic standard which is used by Europeana to map all the incoming heritage metadata collections to a single format. So the idea was also to support this EDM format as in the list of internally supported formats by RODA. So this basically, very naturally, we had three different blocks of the solution. The preservation service itself by RODA, that I assume this community knows quite well, to which we added this IIIF support that I mentioned, and the EDM support. Otherwise, and added some branding elements, but otherwise, this is the standard EDM standard RODA solution together with this with the client RODA in. The aggregator, basically, this is a system that we've been operating already for several years, which is working with different kinds of collections. It's able to ingest metadata in a variety of metadata formats used by libraries and museums, such as Mark 21, Dublin Core, EDM itself, mods, custom formats. There is a mapping to EDM within the aggregator, and the aggregator also has different flows integrated to augment the metadata, such as semantic enrichment or machine translation. The aggregator itself is built on a headless CMS framework, which is called Directus. These are how metadata and other metadata are showed in the aggregator. So on the left hand, it's like a cumulative view, and on the right hand, it's an EDM view. The second component are, as we said, AI content services, which were provided by Pangianic. The anonymization service, which is used to pseudo-anonymize, identify entities which are found in the text, in the metadata, such as name, organization, addresses. And this is a adjusted service from Pangianic, which is already used in several other European projects. So here is an example. On the left-hand side, you see a record. Hope you can see this, not small enough. An original record from a Polish heritage record. And then the second from left is in the middle. You have the translation of the record to 4 European languages using machine translation by Pangianic. And then on the right-hand side, you see the same versions which are anonymized. So a version in which names and addresses are wiped out. And we store different versions of the metadata in RODA. So there are different manifestations, and we store all the different metadata versions that we produce during the process. So this is, for example, how EDM would look in the original, in the left-hand side record, and then this is the same EDM with the translation, and this is EDM with transformation, with anonymization. Now I want to talk a bit about the content partners that we had. So we had 2 content partners, one from Lublin. They're called TNN Bramagrodska. It's a center for Jewish culture and heritage in Lublin. Lublin has a very rich Jewish history. They have a very rich collection of photographs and recordings and historical photographs and other kinds of data in their center. So what you see here is on the, it's not very easy to see, but on the left side you see the record in Roda, and then in the center you see the same record on Europeana. So basically the streamed to Europeana and published on Europeana through their publishing flow through the aggregator. And then our second partner was Jewish community of Lithuania, which provided to us where we experimented with audiovisual content. So this partner has a rich collection of audiovisual materials prepared after the fall of the Soviet Union to document the history of Jewish community there. So again, on the left side, you see this series of episodes of are called Menorah, and here on the left you see again the anonymized version on Roda, and in the center you see how the same film is presented on Europeana, and actually on the right hand side you see the same content on the aggregator, because on the through the aggregator you can also see materials. Let's talk a bit about, sorry. Okay, there was, I think I'm missing a slide, but I'll just say it in words. So with each partner, we went through 2 kind of hackathon processes in which we showed the partner the tools we have, the different kinds of, the different ways to upload content and to ingest content to both to Roda and to the aggregator, because we needed to synchronize between these 2 different flows. And we developed the specific adjustments and customizations for each one of the use cases. And they're interesting, they were very different. So in one case, we used Roda In as the local tool to provide to push digital content in the Lithuanian case, and then we did behind the scenes we did an integration between the aggregator and Roda In, and in another case we did a tighter integration between the digital library system. In the Lublin case, we did a tighter integration between the digital library system used by the partner, which is called dLibra. It's a popular solution in Poland for libraries and museums. And we did an integration between this system and Roda. So basically, Roda integrates with dLibra, and through the special integration draws records directly from dLibra. So 2 different use cases which were explored to us. We prepared as I said, extensive training and onboarding based on this. Based on these processes with 2 potential 2 customers, 2 partners, content partners. We developed a full-fledged training and onboarding kit, which can be found on the website of the project, and we translated it to 20-something European languages. This is quite a rich tutorial with screenshots, with explanations, and this was very important to us to enhance the reach of these materials, because very often the small heritage organizations do not have experience with digital tools, and they would appreciate them to be explained as good as possible. So the uniqueness of this project was that to recap, that it connected 3 different digital service infrastructures or building blocks. It provided one solution for small heritage organizations, an integrated solution to handle collections. And we think that with this integration between different building blocks, we also came a bit closer to conceptualizing this new strategic direction that Europe is taking with regards to digital infrastructures, which is called European data spaces. There is a European data space for culture, and heritage, which is led by Europeana. This is a project which already started. There is a European data space for languages. I understand that eArchiving taking a bit of a different stand, but they will be working with different data spaces. What these data spaces mean, how they will be conceptualized, and most importantly, how they will work together is something that we hope to have started exploring in this project. And actually, we also, in our final event, we really saw that this theme is very interesting. We were happy to welcome more than 200 participants in Europe to our event a bit less than 2 months ago, where we represented the project and its accomplishment, but also talked, thinking about the future, what these kind of use cases of putting preservation in service of heritage, what kind of thinking is needed, what kind of feedback we can give to these data space initiatives, and basically how we can use the experience of this project to be ready for this next step, innovation in digital infrastructures. Thank you very much